This story comes from a native Ute who lives in central Utah. We're going to call her Grace. And Grace's grandpa lived in Mighton, Utah, and he used to tell her stories about skinwalkers. And Grace once asked him if he ever met one, and he replied, yes. So Grace asks, when? Grandpa says, many, many years ago, before you or even your mother was born. Way back when I was young and foolish. Grandpa had ventured into Skinwalker Valley, a place where nothing living ever entered. Not even crows, the very guardians of death, would go there. Grandpa had gone there in his old red Ford pickup truck to prove to the others that there was nothing evil in the valley, that the stories about it were just fear, myths, and superstition. But he was wrong. When he arrives, he notices that the grass is black, as though it had survived a brush fire. And even the trees look dead, even though they're not. He sees an old house not too far away with a caved-in roof and no door. Strange markings are etched on the sides, and animal skeletons are scattered all around the property like it's a sacred burial ground. Suddenly, he hears a voice. His grandmother's, but she'd passed away years ago. But it's her voice calling out to him. The spirits are after him, seeking his life, skin, blood, and soul. They are lost souls that can transform from man to beast, and they chase him, frighten him, and warn him that they will never forget him. Grace remembers her visits to her grandpa. She remembers he would always show her something new. But the next day it was always broken. Grandpa says, it's the spirits. They remember me. The spirits that haunt his farm have killed all of his animals. So now he keeps his dogs inside. And one day, Grace snaps at him and says, I don't believe any of that. Prove it. Grandpa turns around and lifts his shirt, where Grace can see claw marks on his back, marks too straight and far apart to be made by a human. It's completely torn and scarred. Not one part of his back is unmarked. Terrified, Grace starts to cry, and her mom rushes over to see what's wrong and rants and screams at Grandpa as she holds on to Grace, trying to comfort her. But Grace sees that Grandpa is just staring at the field across the road from his house. As Grace's mom picks her up and turns to take her into the house, Grace sees it. A large black dog with white eyes watching Grandpa. And Grandpa watches it like he's waiting for it to attack him. But it doesn't. And Grace never sees the dog again. 2 months later, Grandpa passed away. The doctor said his heart just gave out, but Grace knew that was a lie. His arm had fresh claw marks. That was 42 years ago, and no one has ever believed her. But it is a true event, and Grace wants the world to know. Never look into a skinwalker's eyes, because it will never forget you. If you do, sooner or later, it will have your soul. You can fight and refuse to give in to the skinwalker's power, but if that's the case, then Grace hopes you're not afraid to die.